as I have learned over the years, that when you lose or when you fail at something, that is the most important time.
Winning is the best feeling there is. It's 40,000 people and they're cheering you on.
This is such an interesting character, and the way you play him is very powerful because his life feels like a constant fight. And he can afford to be slapped by his emotions, so he's constantly fighting against his own feelings. So how did you approach portraying like that inner battle against maybe vulnerability or even emotions?
It wasn't easy because you can prepare and prepare for months, as we did, but finally when you become Mark, and I know it sounds weird, but when I get in his skin, you realize just a tremendous amount of empathy that I had immediately for Mark, in that you're right, every day was a fight for him. He was fighting his opponents in the ring, he was fighting his addictions, his demons, his partner, his pride, everything. And it was all wrapped up in his identity of a man who never lost. And then he loses. And then everything crumbles. And so I think what I realized early is that Mark was a man who didn't know he was looking for it or needed it. He realized after he lost the big one is that he was looking for grace.
It's very important what you are saying, because I love how this film like explores the idea that even like winning has its limits, because we are humans and we are not immortals and we are not eternal and we have limits. So putting aside the fact that the film industry is a business, what's your take on this like cultural obsession with numbers? I mean, box office and streams for an album and ticket sales for a concert. It's like the ultimate measure of success.
You know, I don't know if that ever goes away in our culture. I think it evolves. I don't know if the idea of winning and winning by numbers, streams on a song, ticket sales, box office, whatever it is, I don't know if that ever goes away unless models completely change, because I think everybody chases a win, and winning feels good, and you work hard to win. But it's just not life when you think you're going to win all the time. And oftentimes, as I have learned over the years, that when you lose or when you fail at something, that is the most important time, because you learn and you grow. So I think the thing about winning that you just have to be careful about is, as best you can, not become too obsessed with it. And then also what I've learned is, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I had a different relationship with winning. Like, I just viewed success differently. But these days, for me, my fifth level of life, winning is just me being at peace with my decisions. I'm at peace and not worrying about, oh man, well, what does the box office say this weekend, or what's it going to say in 3 weeks from now? What is this? And of course, you always want to do well, but to be at peace with everything,
it's
that's
the most
beautiful,
important. Yeah. And as you were saying, that I think it's very important, he doesn't lose, and it's not even part of his vocabulary. That's why I love that scene when he can't even like
can't comprehend it.
Yeah, it's that he can find the words to the possibility of being defeated, and I think that's very hard to see, because we can relate with that. So how did you work like on the importance of words, just not just to shape this character, but also in your own life, like to name things by its name?
What I realized very quickly, even though I came from the world of pro wrestling and I loved it, I was very lucky to have the career that I had. In wrestling and pro wrestling was never about winning or losing. Even though you say, hey, I won or I beat this person, you really didn't, because it's a show. But this idea that this man cannot intellectualize what it's like to lose is just like, I don't know what that's hard. That was hard for me to try and understand. But then also you realize, is this guy in Mark Kerr, he not only did he not know what it was like to lose, but I think probably more importantly, what we realized as we were filming right away, here's a guy who seems invincible, big, strong, capable. He's the champ. He's He's undefeated. But the great lesson is you never know what people are going through. And there's a term that Benny Safdie, our director, coined at the beginning of our movie, which was radical empathy. To radically empathize with somebody and everybody who you see, because ultimately, you know, you don't know what's going on with me. I don't know what's going on with you. There's a veneer that we put on in public. We want to smile. We want to look good on social media, but you never know what people are going through. And that's the hardcore truth. And in that, this was a point that I wanted to say, is that Benny felt like if people can empathize with Mark, who seemingly is invincible, then you should be able to empathize with everybody else out there. And that's a good thing.